The featured interview today is with the team from Farrell Distributing. Now, I want to start out with a little disclosure. I have known these folks for a couple of years. Ryan and Nicole hired me to make a short video for them a couple years ago when they were opening up their beautiful new warehouse space. Got paid in ski tickets, most Vermont thing ever. Well worth it. And Jeff Baker is somebody who I would consider to be a friend, and really family by extension. He's a phenomenal sommelier. I've known him through the beer scene. We did a podcast, I think 4 years ago, talking about hemp beer with his previous podcast. He's actually an author as well, wrote a book called Burlington Brewing. So unsolicited plug, that's a great gift for the holidays. And if you are into beer, really great read. So I say all that to say this. Farrell Distributing is Vermont's oldest alcohol distributor. And so it leads one to wonder, what is their opinion on cannabis going, what's their opinion, what's their involvement going to be? And so in the past few years, I kind of interact with them and see them out because just Vermont's small, and I'd run into Justin, their Northeast Kingdom rep up at Burke Mountain, and started to see them get involved in CBD. And it started with beverages and has now evolved into products. And so we've got Vermont's largest alcohol distributor distributing CBD beverages, but the real news here, also distributing CBD products. Now, as I'm recording this, news just came out that Dollar General is going to start selling CBD products. So it's interesting because as CBD becomes more mainstream, it's showing up in more different places. And through the course of our interview, you'll hear how these guys are taking advantage of that interest and that demand and trying to take some of the really anonymous bullshit CBD, lower quality, they wouldn't call it bullshit, but trying to really own spaces like the convenience store. Right? Spaces like the liquor store I could see in the future. And so they've got a program where they are in Vermont rolling out these CBD Wellness Centers and convenience stores that are actually stocked with CBD products that are made in Vermont, that are tested, that have standards. So I thought it was a really seminal moment here in Vermont to have these folks involved directly, talk about this project, and talk about how you can have Vermont CBD products in some place like a convenience store setting, and they don't necessarily have to just be total crap. So really interesting conversation about how they got involved, maybe a little bit of insight into what's ahead in the future, but really hope you enjoy this discussion. Really appreciate Farrell, the team, taking time to speak with me, and look forward to more on the other end. Let's start there, here with the Farrell team. The big news and kind of the headline is that Vermont's largest alcohol distributor is also active in CBD. And I know it's something that you guys thought a lot about. You did a lot of research, a lot of education. And so I wanted to get a little bit of background and kind of overview to set the scene as to what Farrell Distributing is doing with CBD and kind of how it came about.
Well, thanks, Eli. Thanks for coming into our shop today. You're no stranger here. You've been here a few times.
Yeah. I was going to say, literally when they're putting the walls up. So
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Eli did the documentary piece for us on the construction. That was an awesome piece. So thanks. We're excited to be in this new space. We are the state's largest by market share, but also the oldest distributor in the state. We're been here since 1933, right after Prohibition. We've been in the alcohol business. We're a fourth generation Vermont family business, which is really important. And we have over 300 employees that span and cover the entire state from top to bottom, taking care of our customers and bringing consumers a wide variety of choice every single day. And that now includes a wide variety of CBD beverages, and CBD, I guess, non-beverages, I guess you would call it, right? Oils
right.
And tinctures.
And let's start with the beverages, because I think that's been a really cool explosion. And here in Vermont, we saw Long Trail dip their toes in. We've seen kombucha become incredibly popular. I'm looking at a White Claw display. We've seen the seltzers, alcoholic and non-alcoholic. How have beverages come into this, and what are you guys doing with CBD beverages presently? Because I think it's a lot more than maybe people know.
So we started down the road of CBD beverages with a partner from California, Sprig, and it kind of started for us. We, as you say, dipped our toes. We dipped our toes in kombucha with our partners at Aquavite 4 or 5 years ago, and it's been an awesome success story. That's a good comparison.
Great Vermont company, yeah.
But it actually is. It relates to this because when we brought on and started working with the Aquavite team, it really was probably an 8-month to 10-month process of understanding how an alcohol, quote unquote, alcohol distributor would go to the market with a kombucha, right? And we jumped in, and it's been great since. And I think the same kind of philosophy started with our CBD beverages, where Doug, who oversees our non-alc portfolio, kind of thought long and hard about how it fits into our portfolio, and he selected Sprig as the first partner. So, Dougie, you can speak to that.
Yeah, Sprig is one of the first national brands of CBD coming out of the West Coast. And when Michael Wright, the owner, reached out and sent samples, I got together with Mr. Baker, Jeff, and we sampled them at that point. And the quality and the taste profile, as we look at our beverage and snack portfolio, really gave us a unique path, a path that we weren't going down at that point with CBD. And so we had the samples, and Jeff and I we tried them. Jeff did a lot of research about the company, the transparency within the world of CBD and what Sprig had done. We decided to bring them on. So they were the first CBD beverage for Farrell Distributing approximately about a year ago. Oh. And it comes with a lot of trust but verification.
Right.
Or validation, I should
Yep.
say. Anybody can say what they have, but for us, we put in policies and processes in place to be like, okay, if you say it's this, then you need to give us all the results and the testing and the strains
Right.
and where you came from, to actually give us a comfort level of, hey, if we're selling this is legitimate and this is what it is.
Well, and this seems to be like one of the big issues with kind of this transition where we are right now, or big themes, is that you have something that's a totally emerging market. It's been completely unregulated. It's super foreign. And now you've got to go from zero kind of regulation understanding to the level of we as a professional established company can actually do this. So you kind of got to go from 0 to 100 as far as quality control and testing and sourcing and all that, which is why I want to ask, what was that pitch like in the beginning, and kind of I always struggle with how do you explain CBD to people. So I'm curious, Jeff, sort of what were those initial conversations like with you guys and with other management here about kind of what is CBD? Is it hemp? Is it marijuana? How is it? Is it really water soluble?
Well, the process started with Sprig coming into the market was
right.
It wasn't like we sat the whole organization down to start with when we launched the Sprig portfolio.
Correct.
It really kind of started, I would say, maybe 6 to 7 months ago when we had a managers meeting down in southern Vermont. And we used that opportunity for Jeff to kind of start the process of what true education and training in the CBD world looks like for us. So along with Jeff's kind of lead on explaining the differences, starting at the basic, right, full spectrum and isolate and how it works and how it's infused and what it claims to do.
Right.
And with all that, as Jeff was leading the charge of the educational front with our personnel, we were on the back end writing the Farrell policy of where we stand when it comes to CBD, and that's available on our website. You can refer to that later.
Yeah, it's great. It's great, actually, and I think a lot of people probably haven't made it over and seen that, because I was impressed how much info you guys have on there.
Well, I think the big thing is, and I won't read the whole thing, but a big bullet point for us that I kind of look at is, we will require that our suppliers can demonstrate that all hemp stores can provide a clear and complete chain of custody. Right, that's a big thing for us. So that's on the policy side, but on the front-facing side for our team, I'll let Jeff talk to kind of his approach to when he started this mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as Ryan said, it kind of came down to the starting at the basics. Like, what is CBD? We have to take a step back and say, what is hemp, and what is cannabis, and what is marijuana? And it's all the same plant, right? But we have to kind of talk about it differently, because part of the plant family is still illegal, and part of it is not.
Right.
So starting with, what's the difference between hemp and, let's say, marijuana?
Yeah.
Just for, the marijuana is the THC side, hemp's the CBD side, or however you want to phrase it. And so starting from there, and then, okay, so now we know we have a plant, and then, all right, let's take it. All right, so now what is CBD? It's a cannabinoid. All right, what's a cannabinoid?
Right, yeah, exactly.
We took a step forward and then 3 steps backwards to get to where we were.
So I'm we have a great team, and they're good at absorbing information, but this is such a new category that I could see even just like our high level management team kind of get this look on their face like, wait,
right.
what?
Well, I would say, you bring a guy like Jeff, and who's got, degrees upon degrees, and I would say about our management team, not that this is totally related, but when you're in a room with over 80 Cicerone certified beer servers, and you're in the room with over a dozen WSET, wine certifications, some at level 2s, some at level 3s, and a couple diplomas. The ability of our team to be able to absorb information is at a, I would say, at a pretty high level.
Yeah, you can't bullshit those people. you really can't,
and they
right?
want to know, and so just so starting with this team in this room, making sure that we know as much as we can before, because they're going to fire off questions, and I don't want to look dumb.
That's right. That was always, when I was a bartender at Simple Roots, it was like, when people start asking beer questions you don't know, don't answer them, because they know more than you.
We'll find out.
You know?
So we, as we were partnering up and selecting, who we're going to work with, really digging in deep with their teams and basically asking them to do the same thing for us, like for me and Doug and Nicole and Ryan, to say like, all right, so you tell me what CBD is.
Right.
And then you tell me what CBD, and then like let's all get it together. So and then also making sure that they know what they're talking about. So we kind of, the vetting process for partnering was a lot about information.
Well, on top of that, also when you, because part of our job, right, is obviously to represent a well-balanced portfolio and bring variety to consumers throughout the state. But the reality is that our retail customers look to us as those experts. Those retailers look to us as consultants,
right?
Especially in a space that's new to them, right? And that's new to us. So we have a proven track record over the years of launching brands and launching segments. I mean, this organization has done that for decades upon decades. So we felt confident that once we knew that we were going to get in this space with the beverage side, we knew that we were going to, we knew we would succeed to a certain level.
Well, and like you said, it's so much trust. It's so much trust-based, and I know that's been a real challenge for CBD in general, which is why having Farrell, having other legitimate, trusted actors who have SOPs and have experience in this space is great for everybody, because we kind of get kicked into high gear of here's how you get up to the level of what retailers need to know and how much information they and you need to know, right, in order to have that level of trust. So I guess I'm curious about some of those initial conversations and even sort of the profile, because I've bought CBD beverages in a bunch of different contexts. But now it seems like the beverage space is really changing a lot with seltzers, being a major disruptor, and we mentioned kombucha.
Right.
What are you guys seeing? And I know it's still early on, and we got to talk about all the products that are in this sort of portfolio, because I know there are a lot of them, and they're very different. What are you seeing kind of generally as far as the CBD beverage market, bigger trends, or kind of, customers, consumers?
Well, we know for a fact that we're seeing a shift in the desire to have more non-alcoholic beverages available, right? The younger generation is demanding that they see brands on the shelves that fit their lifestyle, that have the better for you mentality, right? And that don't have alcohol. So when we go, again, we'll reference kind of kombucha again. That was kind of our first dip into that space, and the CBD portfolio, the vetting, how we've built this portfolio has kind of run along the same path that Doug here has overseen with our entire non-alcoholic division. So, Doug, I'd let you kind of take that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So, the biggest thing that we take a lot of pride in is make sure that the partners that we do bring into our portfolios, it's a win for both the partner and the supplier and distributor, right? We don't want to bring a brand in just to bring a brand in, right? It's not fair to anybody. So we dabbled and we started, with the 4 SKUs of Sprig. And then I believe our second one was the Aqua Vitae CBD kombucha.
Yep.
And then today, now we have a total of how many, Nicole? 6 different beverage brands within our beverage and snack portfolio that are CBD beverages. So anywhere from, as I just said, CBD teas with the Aqua Vitae line, to sparkling waters, to ginger beers.
Yeah,
right?
I would even throw in there that this again, other than Sprig, Aqua Vitae was an existing partner.
Yeah.
Tree Tap was an existing partner.
Right.
Upstate Elevator was an existing partner, but they were close friends of ours throughout the years and years.
Right.
So the beverage portfolio and now the non-beverage portfolio has really kind of the foundational aspects of this has been built by existing friends and partners that we've already had in the industry.
Right. Well, and people who are established, right? You can trust them. Aqua Vitae's got a kitchen, they've got staff, they've got,
Yeah, they're amazing at what they do.
Right, exactly. It's not starting from scratch.
One thing I would like to add to that in terms of building our portfolio we had to quickly create a process internally for ourselves to say, what are we looking for, what are we not looking for, because it was like one came leaked in from some brand, got a hold of us, and then it was like, I don't know, we must have vetted 100 by now.
Yes, if not more.
And so we had to develop a process, and I think quality is obviously key for us, but it starts with, does it taste good? When we're talking about the beverages, is it good?
Yeah.
And then we can say, okay, now show me the paperwork to back up your claim that it has CBD.
Right.
But if it doesn't taste good, there's a non-starter.
Right.
If it's too expensive, it's a non-starter. We had to look at what the market was gonna accept for price points, and different contexts obviously have different price points. If you're going to a high-end CBD dispensary, just for lack of a better term, people might be willing to spend more. But if you're going to grab it at at the local beverage center,
right?
It's a different game. So we vetted a lot of products, and not to say we're bad.
We've also made a lot of adjustments. So Nicole here, who's on my right, is the front lines for us, kind of leading up our CBD portfolio. Nicole has come within a few weeks already with some recommendations that, hey, listen, this price point doesn't work, this isn't working. So we're still very small in this space, right? So we're fluid enough to kind of make these adjustments and make these changes. Nicole, you can speak to that if you have anything specific.
Well, yeah, when you're presenting the portfolio and you have price ranges, from $3.99 to $7.99, you're trying to figure out what exactly is offering so that you can be competitive. You want everything to be competitive, but some of the stuff when you're looking at it and it's cost $2 more and there's no real difference, you have to go back to your partner and be like, hey, look, this is what we're seeing.
Right.
Is there anything you can do?
Well, and being able to give retailers and partners that guidance on even sustainability, right? Because if something tastes like crap and it comes out and then you've got 100 cases and 95 of them are sitting in the back, because the fad is over, that's not good for anybody, right? And things are evolving so fast too that you have to be able to say, all right, do we really want to get into the CBD gum business? Let's say for example, or CBD. Do we want to get into cold brew now, or do we want to look at these other sort of things?
Well, and that's just it. And as Ryan alluded to, and when we look at the whole portfolio as a whole, beverage and snack, it falls underneath that umbrella. And like I said, today we have 6 brands, but where does it go to, and how many does one distributor actually need? Right. That's the other question.
Right.
And today you would ask, what's the evolution within the world of beverages? A lot of these consumers and customers, they don't even know where to place it. We didn't know where to place it.
Right.
So
Of course we did, Doug.
Right.
But
Doug didn't mean that.
Right.
But we learn every day. So now Nicole is actually walking into accounts suggesting, hey, why not dedicate 2 shelves for better for you beverages, or 2 shelves of CBD, and we draw attention to it.
Right.
So when somebody walks in, they're looking for that. There's an actual section now. So that was the evolution. That's the process. Yes, we knew exactly where it was going, but it's a learning curve. And as Ryan said, that was the launch of a brand new segment within our world.
Yeah.
That we've never done.
And we're starting to ramp up the consumer side, the event side. So Nicole here on I'll give her a little plug on Black Friday. Nicole will be on Church Street at Athleta, the Gap,
nice.
For 2 hours actually, as folks are in there kind of getting their yoga pants shopping on. Nicole is going to be offering some hydration with the CBD portfolio. So we're bringing this now to all of our kind of our retailer-driven events. So when we have wine tastings and beer tastings for the retail trade, we're actually having the CBD beverages there as well.
I saw this on your Instagram page a couple weeks ago that you guys were having the wine, and beer retreat and CBD.
That's right.
And the fact that you had added that even to the captions and the posters, I was impressed because it is really legitimizing and becoming part of the.
It's part of the family.
Part
of the portfolio. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's important to have people taste it, because it's an unknown. People are like, oh, what's it going to taste like? And it's so expensive. They don't want to buy a $5-6 bottle not knowing what it's going to taste like.
Right.
So getting it out there, the more tastings we can do and more awareness we can bring to it.
Yeah,
well, and like you said, I think, you guys, and we'll talk about the non-beverage, CBD stuff and that transition, but that education, and having, whether it's partners that have the education on the packaging, having it on display, or having the people, who are the retailers or the event people, be prepared to answer. We all know the first 5 questions we're going to get about CBD beverages, right? But, without asking numbers, I assume that the CBD, it's been heading in the right direction, and it seems like it's just been getting more and more popular. for the most part.
People are gravitating towards it.
You know?
They're seeing it, they're recognizing it. As Jeff alluded to, the person or the consumer who knows what CBD is, they know the price point is going to be higher than your average beverage. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's been a steady growth.
And I think
within the portfolio,
it seems like it's kind of surfing a little bit on that, even just the Vermont craft beverage reputation, right? I was on Instagram this morning and I saw there's a woman in Southern Vermont who's like on a Bravo TV show, and she's an Instagram, person, and her story's like only in Vermont, and it's got the picture of the 2 Upstate cans,
cool.
Nice. In the cooler, and it's like, all right, yeah, Vermont is where you also get craft CBD beverages.
Can you send me that?
I totally will. It's below deck on Bravo. I totally have never seen the show.
We had a wine trade show 2 weeks ago up at Caledonia, up at Bar Hill.
Oh yeah.
Sam there, the mixologist of mixologists, did an awesome cocktail with CBD beverages. So that's another thing for us. We're really starting to think about how do we bring this to the restaurant and the bar scene with our oils, with our beverages, with our whole portfolio to kind of enhance the next level of cocktail making.
Right. Yeah. The mocktails and like you said before, that trend of I think people looking for, whether it's generational or whether it's health conscious, because we're in Vermont, people looking for beverages and they're out recreating, having a good time, but, they might want lower alcohol or less or a different experience. So let's talk about that transition into, the beverages. Like you said, you've got to have partners, you've got to have education, you've got to have your own internal SOPs to figure out how you can verify everything. When you get into products, and we should maybe start by defining what the scope of that is, because we're talking about non-beverages. You guys aren't selling joints. At least nobody's offered me a joint here yet. Can confirm since we're on audio.
Confirmed.
Yeah, exactly. How'd you guys make this decision, and kind of what other factors do you have to consider when you start getting into that, and where do you get started? What's the first market in which you start with? Is it giving people a hangover capsule afterwards, or is it handing them a hemp joint? We know we're not doing flower, but something like that at the bar. Kind of. Tell me about that decision.
Well, it wasn't something that we weren't really kind of looking at it, to be honest. It was really one of our partners, Tree Tap and Ceres, came to us and kind of gave us some reasons to believe why we should consider getting into that space. And hey, listen, kudos to Aaron Harris at Tree Tap. We've had a good partnership since we kicked off the non-CBD, non-alcoholic sparkling beverage line, and we have a lot of respect for each other. And he came to us thinking that this is something that we should entertain, and thinking that we could be good at this. So it started with him coming up and talking to us about obviously the Tree Tap evolution of CBD, and what they were doing down at Ceres. So we sat in that meeting which Doug led, which I'll hand it over in a minute. But we sat through that meeting and we started the conversation about what would it look like to be in the for lack of better words, the non-beverage CBD business. So Doug.
Yes. So after that meeting with Aaron, Ryan and I basically closed the door and we just kind of bounced some ideas around each other, knowing that we would have to present this to ownership. But before we did that, we actually sat and tried to understand what would this really entail, right? It's like as I said earlier, this is a segment, we're talking dry goods now, oils, tinctures, dog treats, bombs, that would be brand new to this organization. And how do we do it successfully? So in talking, I think that's when I believe I brought Jeff in at that point to try to have an infrastructure of, if we go down this road, what would it take? And that's when the policy and the process came into play. We talked about our facility and changing operationally, internally, what we did and how we house CBD. And again, those were all the things that we put in motion before I believe we even went to ownership.
Yeah, and kudos. We also had some really wonderful retailers and partners out there. The Jolley Group was one of them. Jolley was really interested in getting into this space with a trusted partner, and we're lucky that they consider us one of those. So it kind of led us down the path that, okay, this is if we could do this is a great place to start and get them squared away in a position in which they're comfortable, and then take it from there, which is exactly what we've done. Take it from there, and it's something that's evolving every single week. Nicole here on my right is charged with getting out into the market and having those conversations.
Well, and let's start with, just to set the scene, the partnership that's going on now with Jolley, and the non-beverage products that you guys are carrying presently. Can you maybe just give a quick overview of that, just to make sure I get that detail right? Because I'm sure numbers have even changed probably since last time we spoke.
Yeah, I mean, we surveyed the market, myself, Jeff, Nicole, and Ryan, to see exactly what other customers had out there for display options, how they were selling it, how they were actually displaying it and making it consumer friendly. And after going to some retailers, we got online, decided what we wanted to roll with, went to the Jolley group and said, if we get into these cases, does that work for your footprint?
Right.
And once they gave us the green light with that, so stop, rewind, when we had a few more ideas, that's when we presented ownership and we got the blessing of, hey, if we're going to do it, let's do it and do it right.
Yep.
And so we did the cases, and then we started developing our portfolio. And much like our beverage and snack, how many different oils and tinctures does one need?
Right.
So
right.
We started with a limited group of products, and once we set up a display model, we showed it to Jolley, myself and Nicole. They liked it, they gave us the blessing, and within 1 week, we rolled it out chain-wide with them in every location.
And we're adjusting as we go for what makes sense for each store, just like we're doing with other retailers throughout the state. It's nice that now that we're kind of set up, we're in a position to where our sales team and our management team and Nicole can go in and talk about some success that we've had. And hey, we're really lucky too. The partners that we have are incredibly successful as brands.
Yeah.
And they've got growing flagship stores. They've got their name out there. They've been doing a lot of networking for years. So to some degree, we're really lucky that we've started to partner with brands that have already kind of established this amazing foundation of business that now we're able to extend and take.
Well, and these are with Ceres, with Tree Tap, with Upstate. These are all Vermont. These are all locally grown. Pardon the pun, Vermont-born businesses. In the last 3 or 4 years.
They are, and I'm glad you just mentioned that, because the 3 brands that we're working with currently is Ceres, Upstate Elevator, and then a national brand called Aceso. And I just want to put a quick plug in to let everybody know that not only are they partners of ours and growing both businesses, but just their wealth of knowledge and their enthusiasm to be like, hey, if anybody has a question, send them to us. We'll answer their questions. That's been the most positive feedback and insight that I've seen. Just
like the craft beer segment started for us, and started the same way where tap rooms and breweries were the same incubator for, hey, listen, if they don't understand what this IPA is or what we're making, send them our way and we'll give them the whole rundown. So it's kind of been along the same path.
Yeah.
And we use the
category, to allow Nicole to be able to go into a customer and could spend 10 minutes, could spend an hour and a half, but taking the time to actually educating the customer as to what the features and benefits of Farrell Distributing's portfolio is versus XYZ's portfolio. And that's the positive, right? We've got a lot of questions of, well, I can get one down the road for $5-10 cheaper. Yes, you can. It's much like anything else in this world, right?
Right,
You
exactly.
can buy a car down the road $10,000 cheaper.
The biggest learning to be top line is that it's not turnkey. You have to be aggressive in your marketing of this portfolio. You have to be aggressive in your positioning of it, and you have to be smart about the activations, the events, and the sampling occasions that you deliver. That's what it is. It's a very hands-on. It's a hands-on segment of the portfolio that you have to be out there, and you have to be kind of doing the thing, which is kind of what Nicole's doing.
Yeah, well, and I'm excited with talking about events, talking about activations. We talked about Black Friday and retail. What a perfect place for CBD. I mean, recreation, health and wellness. Obviously, we see these as being big opportunities. Sure. I mean, how do you guys see any others that I'm kind of missing? I mean, how does CBD sort of fit into this? Because anything we can do with alcohol, which is pretty much anything, as long as we've got some controls and some regulation, CBD can be involved with. So where do you guys see that kind of expanding? Are we going to be doing CBD hot cocoa at the ski lodge this year, or any and all of them, right?
I think it's too early to say exactly where and what it's going to evolve to. Obviously, we have dog treats now in our building, So
Right.
that opens up doors to veterinaries, so anywhere from tincture oils in a bar or a restaurant cocktail to now, like I said, knocking on the door of a veterinary.
Yeah.
CBD it's here today. It's for everybody who understands it. And for those who don't want to jump into it, don't need to.
Yeah, I think the cocktail space is a big opportunity, and I'm a member of the U.S. Bartenders Guild Green Mountain chapter, and recently we had a meeting and we spoke about CBD in cocktail and what that future looks like. It also has space for those who don't want to drink but do want to go out,
Right.
and have with their friends or just go meet up at a bar. It offers having CBD products, whether it's a seltzer in a can that was pre-made and pour it over ice, or if they have a tincture behind the bar and they make up a mocktail, for lack of a better term, and with CBD, because it's a value added beverage. It's a higher end beverage then, right? And it also has that kind of better for you / functional kind of nature to it.
Yeah.
Where people can explore the effects of CBD, but in a setting where they can go out, hang out, and feel like they're part of the group instead of drinking a glass of water.
You could kind of argue that any brand that we sell has its own lifestyle, right? And every brand we sell and every segment we sell fits into its own whatever lifestyle is. So CBD is just another example of the core consumer has a specific lifestyle that they like to live, and we're bringing it to them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Doug mentioned Red Bull too.
Totally. Absolutely.
Similar deal.
Market leader.
And CBD I think has done such a great job of distinguishing itself, as hemp, and does not carry the same stigma as marijuana, and have you guys have found that too? I mean, it seems like at this point, and we're almost in 2020, that people know hemp is not marijuana, CBD is not marijuana. So, it seems like that stigma's kind of been removed, and CBD can exist really as its own industry, as its own product. And whatever happens with THC in the future, CBD is going to have a place. Because I think we see that even in states where there's, legal cannabis, and in California, people are getting crazy with the ways they combine it. Not everybody wants that effect, and that there is still a large group of consumers who would prefer CBD, whether it's to alcohol or to marijuana or to other kind of substances. So for you guys, when you're looking at how CBD expands, in the future, we see activity at the federal level now. Is that something, you guys are probably better positioned than most because you're in a highly regulated industry already and have to have those supply kind of lines. But as far as like being people in the industry, what are kind of your concerns about the federal government being involved? Is it impacting you guys, or is it really just more opportunity? Once the FDA starts licensing beverages, then it's even easier for conventional kind of distribution.
I don't quite know yet. We're quite comfortable in the space that we're in with CBD as it stands today with what's on the books. We're quite comfortable with our process of bringing in partners that can showcase their verification and reinforce our policy. We're comfortable today being out there, kind of promoting the fact that we're a member of the building of the CBD community and the businesses, and past that, I don't know. Right now we're really okay and comfortable with where it stands today, and where it stands tomorrow, we'll take it. Take it when it comes.
Yeah. Well, and I give you guys credit for having done the research and taken the time to get into this. And I gotta ask Nicole on behalf of all my other Vermont hemp company maker artisan kind of friends. What are you guys looking for? One, don't try to cold call you, right? But sort of what are you guys looking for? What are you talk a little bit about the standards, and if there are people out there who have the next best thing, whether it's a CBD gum or CBD dip or CBD.
I'll tell you.
I'll
take that before Nicole.
Yeah, please hop in.
But I'll start with this. We're incredibly honored that anybody would want to work with us, right? And we have our website where you can contact us, which is where typically most folks kind of come to us, right? So they reach out and they say, hey, listen, this is a product that we have, and we kind of vet it that way. That's probably the best way to do it. But we read every email, we read every request, we follow up with every single one of them. We don't take it for granted that people want to work with us. So we're not completely open to everything, but we are absolutely in the respect business. And if you reach out to us because you feel as if we might be a partner, we're going to look into it.
Yeah.
Can't say we're going to bring it in.
Right.
We're busy as we are, but
Right.
but Doug is as Doug is in charge of this portfolio, it's kind of up to his vetting process to where it makes sense for us.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where I defer back to Nicole. I mean, obviously we laid the groundwork and the foundation of where we are today, and obviously within each portfolio that we carry, there's going to be expansions and line expansions. But Nicole and I are going to bounce, and Jeff are going to bounce a lot of things off, and if we feel that we're missing something to complement our portfolio, then those are the ones that we take a hard look at and make sure it's the right fit for us and them. I can't emphasize that enough. It's got to be the right fit for both parties. And you throw things up against the wall. Sometimes they stick, sometimes they don't. But much like I do with the other 55 partners that I work with, it's got to be right for both parties.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is with me being out in the market, I'm the ear, so I'm trying to hear what are people asking for.
Exactly.
And then I'm going to go back to Doug and be like, look, we really need to add something like this to our portfolio. And also what's not kind of moving in the market.
Right.
So as we grow and we learn, I mean, we could definitely be adding things, but like he said, it's going to have to complement. It's not just add another thing just to add another thing.
The reality that not everything works, right?
Right.
Right. Well, and I got to say, we look at CBD and we look at, Vermont and Massachusetts, very different, as far as regulations. We look at, and I'm not trying to backdoor you into a weed question here. We look at also kind of with alcohol, what's the difference and what gives competitive advantages and not, right? And I say this as somebody who's worked in brew pubs in Vermont and is a big fan of our alcohol industry. What are the aspects of, I'll ask it this way, what are the aspects of the way that we in Vermont regulate alcohol that make our state more desirable, that make our alcohol industry more successful? I'm only asking about alcohol. What are kind of some of those I got to ask, as an advocate, as an activist, it's not a question of politics, it's a question of policies. What are some of those key things that make Vermont's craft alcohol industry special compared to other states? This is not an endorsement of cannabis, but I got to ask the people who know kind of what we can learn. And if people are cannabis activists or if politicians want to replicate the success of alcohol, what are some policy lessons that we can learn?
Well, I think the 3-tier system that we work within now is incredibly successful. It regulates. It provides massive amount of consumer choice. It allows for brands to be brands. It even allows for self-distribution, which is great for the brands that make sense for. So, I think we've got these 3 specific tiers that all work really well together. We stay within our lines. We do what's right, and we listen to our retailers and we listen to our consumers, and we bring variety, and we do it in a regulated manner. It's as simple as that. I mean, the 3-tier system, if you just look at the boom in Vermont, right?
It seems to have worked pretty well, right?
Yeah, we all have respect for each other. I think everybody has a lot of respect for the parts they play in that, and I think part of the success that the beverage industry has seen in the state of Vermont is just the fact that we're all very passionate about each tier that we represent, and we do it with a lot of respect for each other.
Yeah.
There's, the 3-tier system allows for specialization too, right? It allows the breweries to do what they do best.
Right. You could be Hermit Thrush and just brew sour beers, or focus on sour beers, or focus on...
And have awesome access to the market.
And the distributors do what they do best, which is get it to the stores, and not just in a logistics sense. We're not just FedEx here.
Right.
Nothing. No knock to FedEx, but we also act as a sounding or a megaphone for the branding and marketing that the breweries bring.
Front line.
We sell it to the stores, and we provide access to, or not provide access, but
Well, like you said, there's so much more that comes along. It's not distribution's not FedEx, right? It's not just drop off show up and wheel it off the truck and here you go.
And sometimes it is, which is okay too. But as being frontline and being consultants and being good partners and understanding what retail is asking for and going back to our partners and saying, hey, listen, there's a gap in the market. Did you ever think about this? It's a fluid conversation that's constantly happening.
Right.
There's probably going to be a few brands that come in here today to have that conversation, which is fun. It's vibrant. It's energizes you and it's a great industry to be involved with.
Well, and like you said, that community aspect, which I see in the alcohol industry, which is so great, the feedback of brewers who brew together, and learn from each other, and specialize, and everybody pushes each other, and says, hey, have you tried this? Like, man, I want to start doing that. Or like, hey, so-and-so's brewing with lactose now.
I would even say on the national level, a lot of these national brands, they're excellent at what they do. They're great brand marketers. They know how to find a niche, and a lot of local brands are able to kind of feed off the national brands, and that will probably happen in the other industry down the road.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a good time.
It was indeed a great time speaking with the Farrell Distributing team. My sincere thank you again to Ryan, Nicole, Jeff, the entire team. I have a lot of great things to say about Farrell as a company, and really appreciate them. And I say this as somebody who has known them for a little while, and they don't advertise with me. They never have. Maybe they or some of their brands will in the future, but I thought it was a really interesting and valuable conversation to talk about what they're doing, and that it's a BFD, a big freaking deal, that we have the state's largest alcohol distributor participating in this, as well as, like we said, we see these trends with more CBD getting into other places, convenience stores, places where you might not have seen it before. So, big thanks again to Farrell Distributing. Encourage you guys, next time you're in a Jolley convenience store, check it out. Go look for that CBD Wellness Center, and you'll see a couple cool Vermont brands represented there. Next time you are in a liquor store, someplace that sells alcohol, go just take a peek and see what they have for CBD products, and kind of how they're arranged on the shelves. There really is a science to retail, and kind of that's where we're at right now, where some of these conventional people who have a lot of expertise and understanding about things like retail distribution, all of this, are now applying that expertise to CBD, and eventually all kinds of cannabis. So thanks again to Farrell. Hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. Back with the rest of the show.